Good evening, everyone. We're going to get folks a few more minutes to join, and we'll get started in a few more minutes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Hello, and welcome to this Fairfax County Department of Transportation public meeting. My name is Negin Askarzadeh, and I am a transportation planner with Fairfax County Department of Transportation Capital Projects section. I will be the moderator for tonight's meeting, and my colleague Sandy Clanfer with Active Transportation section will be giving the presentation. This is our second meeting. We had our first meeting yesterday where we gave the same presentation as today. Tonight, we will be sharing with you information about how active transportation safety and access projects are prioritized by county staff, and let you know how you can provide feedback on specific projects currently under consideration. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we do have some of our County Board of Supervisors staff attending at this meeting, so thanks for your participation. And I'd like to introduce our FCDOT staff that will be helping us answering questions at the end of this presentation. With us, we have Laura Ghosh, Section Chief of Active Transportation, Sandy Clanfer, Transportation Planner with Active Transportation Section, Amir Farashji, Transportation Planner with Capital Projects Section, and Noemi Miranda with Active Transportation Section will be assisting us with Spanish translation. I'd like to review some guidelines so everyone can participate and get the most out of this session. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. The recording of yesterday's meeting has been posted on the webpage, and we will be posting the Q&A portion of this meeting on the website as well. Microsoft Teams does offer a live captioning service. You can find that by clicking the three dots and choosing language and speech and click turn on live captions. You are welcome to submit questions using the chat function at any time. After we have given this presentation, we will address as many questions as we can. Please note your submission to the chat will be part of the public record for this meeting. If you're on the phone, please hold your questions to the end. We will have instruction on how to ask questions at the conclusion of the presentation. And also, please note that this presentation only focuses on the prioritization and selection process. So please, if you have questions about specific projects, we encourage you to complete the online survey to share your feedback. And we'll provide more information about the survey in a few minutes. Next slide, please. The Fairfax County Department of Transportation and Fairfax Connector operate programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. For more information, please visit www.fcdot.gov fairfaxcounty.gov/connector/title VI. Next slide, please. FCDOT has recorded a version of this presentation in Spanish, which is available on the project webpage, so you may review this presentation at any time. Also, FCDOT staff will be available at the end of this presentation to translate any questions or comments provided in Spanish. Now, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague Noemi for the Spanish translation of this slide.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Noemi Miranda. Una grabación en español de esta presentación está disponible ahora en el sitio web del proyecto. Las personas que deseen hacer una pregunta o comentario en español pueden hacerlo al final de esta presentación. Las traducciones de las preguntas y respuestas serán proporcionadas por el personal del Condado de Fairfax, FCDOT. Gracias.
Thank you, Noemi. And now I'd like to turn it over to Sandy. My colleague Sandy, he's going to go over the presentation. Sandy.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sandy Clanfer. I'm a transportation planner with the Active Transportation team here at FCDOT. Next slide, please. Today in this presentation, we're going to share some background with you about this process, provide an overview of how we prioritize projects for funding, and share with you the opportunities available to learn more and provide feedback on specific projects. At the end, there will be an opportunity for questions and comments from you. Next slide, please. Before we go any further, I want to define one term that we'll be using a lot in this presentation, and that's active transportation. Active transportation includes all forms of non-motorized travel, whether used for recreation or to get from A to B. Included in active transportation is not only walking and bicycling, but also the use of mobility aids like wheelchairs, as well as small electric mobility devices like electric scooters, e-bikes, and skateboards. Next slide, please. In 2021, the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors pledged to spend $100 million over 6 years to improve safety and access for pedestrians, cyclists, and other active transportation users. Much of this funding would be used to construct capital improvements, including but not limited to sidewalks, crosswalks, and pedestrian signals. To help the supervisors determine how this funding should be allocated, FCDOT developed and implemented a project prioritization methodology. Starting from our universe of roughly 3,000 potential projects throughout the county, this process helps us understand the safety and access benefits of each project, as well as general costs and potential barriers to implementation. Next slide, please. Of the $100 million pledged by the county supervisors, $56.7 million has already been allocated. An additional $25.4 million has been approved by the supervisors, but not yet allocated to specific projects. These are the funds that will be allocated based on the results of this prioritization process. The remaining portion of that $100 million, roughly $18 million, is expected to be approved by the Board of Supervisors at a future date based on the results of this prioritization process. In addition to this funding, FCDOT also funds active transportation capital projects through a variety of grant programs, such as Safe Streets and Roads for All and Safe Routes to School. Next slide, please. Money from this $100 million supports active transportation, safety, and access in many different ways. Of the $56.7 million allocated so far, $44.4 million will fund 78 new capital projects, including one project built by the Fairfax County Park Authority on their land. A further $4.8 million helps us maintain existing active transportation infrastructure throughout the county. Other uses of this funding have included speed feedback signs for the Fairfax County Police Department, supporting the Fairfax County Park Authority's trail maintenance efforts, and providing a local cash match for active transportation safety grants from other sources. Next slide, please. FCDOT continues to advance the projects that have been allocated funding by the county supervisors. Of the 77 FCDOT capital projects chosen so far, 31 are in project initiation, 27 are in design, 4 are in land acquisition, 2 are under construction, 11 are complete, and 2 are canceled. Next slide, please. To help the county supervisors select projects for funding allocation, we use a prioritization process to identify project benefits. FCDOT maintains lists of unfunded active transportation capital projects throughout the county. At this point, nearly 3,000 projects in total. These include projects requested by county residents, those requested by county supervisors, projects recommended in FCDOT planning studies, and projects identified by FCDOT staff. We use a 4-step prioritization process to narrow down this list of projects. In doing so, we coordinate extensively with the Board of Supervisors, and we also provide this opportunity for the public to comment on the projects under consideration. Next slide, please. This slide outlines the 4-step prioritization process, giving you an idea of where we are in the process and what we've done so far. At this point, we've completed the first 3 steps in the process: the need and demand analysis, the board and stakeholder coordination, and the prioritization review. This has enabled us to narrow down those 3,000 projects to a short list of 14 to 16 projects in each of the 9 county supervisor districts. We are now in step 4, in which we ask for input from county residents and perform more detailed analyses on shortlisted projects. Next slide, please. Now that we've been introduced to the 4-step prioritization process, let's look at each of these steps in a bit more detail. In step 1, we compile all of the projects on our unfunded list, the nearly 3,000 projects I mentioned earlier, and we perform 2 spatial analyses on each project, a need analysis and a demand analysis. Next slide, please. The need analysis looks primarily at demographic factors to determine the locations where the need for active transportation facilities is likely to be highest. Some of the factors included in this analysis include race, income, disability, age, housing cost burden, and educational attainment. Each project is given a need score based on its location. The map on this slide shows the spatial distribution of need scores across the county. Next slide, please. The demand analysis looks primarily at geographic factors to identify concentrations of pedestrian destinations, the places people are most likely to want to walk and bike to. Demand scores are driven by population and employment density, as well as the locations of key attractions, including but not limited to schools, parks, public facilities, and hospitals. As with the need score, demand scores are assigned to each project based on its location. You can see the demand scores throughout the county on this map. Next slide, please. At the end of step 1, each project has a need and demand score, and we use those scores to develop lists of the 30 or so projects in each supervisor's district with the highest scores as compared to the other projects in that district. In step 2, we share those lists with the supervisors for them to review and ensure that the list meets the needs of the communities each supervisor serves. As necessary, we add projects to these lists to better align them with each supervisor's priorities. Next slide, please. In step 3, we perform prioritization review analyses on all of the projects identified in steps 1 and 2. These 3 analyses help us better understand the potential benefits of each project, allowing us to narrow down the project list further. Next slide, please. The 3 analyses we perform in step 3 evaluate each project based on its proximity to pedestrian destinations, on local connectivity, and on its value to the county-wide regional trail network. On each of these 3 analyses, projects receive a score of high, medium, or low. Next slide, please. The first of the step 3 analyses looks at the number of pedestrian generators within a quarter mile of the proposed project location. These include schools, transit stops, daycare facilities, shopping, community and senior centers, and other key destinations. The more of these generators located within a quarter mile, the higher the project scores on this criteria. You'll notice that schools are bolded in the list on this slide. For the purpose of this analysis, we double count schools, both because they generate active transportation demand all day long, and because the children traveling to and from them are particularly vulnerable road users. Transit stops are also handled a bit differently from other pedestrian generators. Next slide, please. In addition to nearby land uses, other considerations also affect a project's pedestrian generator score. Proximity to transit, including within a half mile of a metro rail, VRE, or planned Richmond Highway BRT station, or within 300 feet of any other bus stop, boosts a project score. Projects in the highest need areas, as identified in the step 1 need analysis, also receive higher scores, as do projects in special planning areas such as suburban centers and community business centers. Next slide, please. In the local connectivity analysis, scores are based on the connections that a project creates or improves. Projects can score highly on this metric if they create a new connection to allow active transportation users to safely access a destination currently unconnected to the network, or if they provide safety benefits at an existing connection in the network, or if they connect the most important active transportation routes as designated in the county's active transportation and trails plan. Next slide, please. The final step 3 analysis looks at regional connectivity. This is based on the regional trail designations in the county's active transportation and trails plan. Projects that create connections between multiple regional facilities score highest on this analysis, with projects receiving a medium score if they connect to or form part of one regional trail. Next slide, please. Once each project is scored on these 3 analyses, scores are converted to numbers. 1 is low, 2 is medium, 3 is high, and then added together to give each project a total step 3 score between 3 and 9. The projects with the highest score in each supervisor's district are shortlisted to create a list of 14 to 16 projects in each district. These shortlists are once again shared with the supervisors and adjusted based on their input. Shortlisted projects move forward to step 4. Next slide, please. In step 4, FCDOT conducts additional reviews on shortlisted projects, developing a rough cost estimate, identifying potential property and environmental impacts, as well as a feasibility analysis. The project shortlists are shared with the public, and this public outreach process is carried out, including 2 virtual public meetings and an online survey. Next slide, please. Moving forward, FCDOT will be completing these Step 4 analyses, collecting and analyzing public feedback, and reviewing the results of our work with the county supervisors. At the end of the process, a final list of projects will be presented to the Board of Supervisors, who will make the final decisions about which projects funding will be allocated to. Because of the limited funding available, only a small number of shortlisted projects will be funded in this round. This is expected to happen in mid-2026. Projects not selected for funding in this round of prioritization will be considered for future funding opportunities as they become available. Next slide, please. More information about this prioritization process can be found on the Fairfax County website by searching for active transportation prioritization or by using the QR code on this slide. On this webpage, you will find meeting materials, a list of shortlisted projects, as well as links to the survey for each supervisory district and our interactive map of shortlisted projects. Next slide, please. Our interactive map helps you find key information about shortlisted projects throughout the county. This information includes project locations and descriptions, project scores for Step 1 and 3 analyses, and more. You can click on any project on the map to bring up information about that project. You can also type in an address in the box at the top right to help you quickly find projects near your home, workplace, or other location of interest. Projects are identified in both the survey and the map by both location and map ID, which may help you as you complete the survey. This map can be found on our website or by scanning the QR code on this slide. Next slide, please. The easiest way to provide feedback on individual projects is by taking our surveys. There is a survey for each supervisor's district, and each one is linked separately on the FCDOT website. You can see on this slide a sample question. As you can see, a map and a description is provided for each project, and you are asked whether you believe each project provides safety benefits. For each project, you can also share any additional thoughts in the provided text box. Each survey will also ask you a few questions about your active transportation usage, as well as optional demographic questions. You may take as many of these surveys as you'd like, so you can comment on all of the projects of interest to you, no matter where they are in the county. Surveys are open through 4:30 p.m. on March 31st, 2026. Next slide, please. As I mentioned a moment ago, there are 9 surveys, one for each supervisor's district. The surveys are linked on our website and can also be accessed directly via the QR codes shown on this page. Those who are interested in projects in multiple districts may take as many of the district surveys as you would like. Once again, all survey responses must be received by 4:30 p.m. on March 31st, 2026. Next slide. You may also provide feedback to FCDOT by mail or by phone. You may mail a written comment to the attention of Project Prioritization, 4050 Legato Road, Suite 400, Fairfax, Virginia, 22033. You can provide a comment by phone by calling 703-890-5898 and using the project codes shown on this slide. Next slide, please. We've reached the end of this presentation. Thank you for your participation. I will turn it back over to Nagin for questions and comments.
Thank you, Sandy. So yes, this is the end of the presentation. So please go ahead and type in your questions in the chat session. We will read your question aloud. I have my colleague Laura here. She'll be reading the questions. And we do have one question so far. Laura, take it away.
Yeah, so Bradley Burstifer, sorry if I butchered that, Bradley. He asks, how is the demand score for each region of the county map calculated from local destinations?
I'm not quite sure I understand the question. The demand score is separate from the step 3 local destinations score. The step 1 score is if we can go back to the slide with the demand score, what you can see in the map on this page is that it's laid out in a hexagonal grid. And basically the way the demand score works and the need score works the same way is that every project falls into one of those hexagonal grids. And the need and demand scores are calculated based on which grid, which hexagon they fall into in that grid. So what we are doing with the step 1 score is just looking at the approximate location. What we do in the step 3 score is we go a little deeper and look at the actual land uses, the actual homes, businesses, institutions, etc., that are located within a quarter mile of that project.
Thank you, Sandy. Adam, I see that you raised your hand to ask a question. I think that what we're doing is asking people to type their questions into the chat for them to be read, unless you are calling in. Is that correct, Nadine?
That is correct, yes. I'm not seeing any callers here.
Okay.
So Adam, if you can type in your questions, we'll read your question aloud and answer that.
Okay, so Barry Steinberg asks, why is pedestrian safety not identified as a priority consideration?
So pedestrian safety pedestrian safety and really the safety of everyone who's using our roads is the overarching goal that we're trying to achieve here. All of these projects that we are considering are providing pedestrian safety benefits, or more generally active transportation safety benefits. So pedestrian safety is absolutely a priority, but we have when we have this list of 3,000 projects and they're all going to improve safety for pedestrians, cyclists, everyone using active transportation, we need some way to differentiate those projects from each other. And that is what our prioritization process is doing.
Okay. Bradley Worstopher asks if we are interested in a project on the unfunded list, is there any way to check on the status of it?
You can feel free to reach out to us. If your project is not on the short list and you want to ask about it, please feel free to reach out to us. You can email the DOT info at fairfaxcounty.gov, and that question will get to me and I will get you a response.
Chris Carey asks, are any historical crash data also incorporated into the knee scores or prioritization?
So we certainly do look at crash data as we are as we're thinking about projects. It's not one of the things that we did is we used crash data as one of the tiebreakers between projects that otherwise scored the same. When we found ourselves in that situation, one of the ways that we differentiated projects that otherwise scored the same was that we looked at the VDOT crash data and identified the projects that were in the corridors with the most crashes. So it's definitely something that we are paying attention to as part of this process.
Okay. Adam, if you do want to speak, we would like you to call in to the number to do that. But yeah. Otherwise, we invite you to type your question or comment into the chat.
The setup of the teams for the external participants is that the mic is not enabled. So if you would like to speak, please call in and then we'll be happy to answer your question.
Okay. Diana Berlin asks, could you please add to the chat the web address to access the need demand analysis score for each project? And when were these scores last updated? I had sent info for project 111, missing segment of sidewalk on Birch Road, to be updated in 2025 and 2025 to RP, and it doesn't seem to be updated yet. There's a school bus stop at this location and no sidewalk on either side of this narrow road for school children, forcing them to walk on the road, and 2 Fairfax County public schools within a half-mile of a needed missing segment of sidewalk. There has also been a major construction project on Birch Road, making it even more dangerous for pedestrians and students.
Just to give you a bit of information, we did update these scores last year. If you have questions or concerns about a specific project score, you can either put them into the survey or you can email them to dotinfo at fairfaxcounty.gov, and we will take a look.
And Diana, can I just add that in step 3, we did go in and look at each location and identified that the location for Project 111 was within walking distance of those 2 schools as part of the step 3 process.
Okay. I think Adam called in. I do see a caller. Adam, if you can press *5 and then *6 to unmute yourself.
Okay. In the meantime, and feel free, caller, to just butt in. Maybe I'll wait just a moment. So Diana Berlin asks, is there a website showing the scores you could add to the chat box?
So for all of the projects on the short list, the scores are available in the interactive map. Maybe we can navigate to that slide so that she can get the QR code if that would be helpful. And though for shortlisted projects, those scores are available there. We have not published those scores for projects that aren't on the short list because we are right now just looking for feedback on shortlisted projects.
Adam, if you're still on the call, you need to press *6 to unmute yourself.
Okay. Bradley Worstifer asks, how often are the prioritization scores updated, and are they the same cadence for each step to be updated? For example, is population density tied to the census?
Yes. So when we are looking at those demographic factors like population density, we are pulling that data from the census. So that data is updated as new census data becomes available. As far as how we go in and score, we go through this process when there's funding available to be allocated to specific projects. So we don't necessarily do this, every year, every other year. We do this as funding becomes available, and that so that really depends how we update those scores.
And Adam conveyed that he's having trouble getting through using the phone because the system told him he wasn't allowed to unmute.
Yes, I just let the technical team know to check the setting on that.
Okay, Larry Good asks, if there are so few projects that make the priority list, has anyone in Fairfax County government consider there might need to be funding for more projects?
There are, as you said, there are a lot of great and really important projects. There's also a lot of things, a lot of really important functions that Fairfax County needs to offer to its residents. That is there's unfortunately a lot of priorities and only so much funding to go around. Hopefully there will be additional funding for these kinds of projects coming down the pike. And if and when that happens, we look forward to getting more of these projects funded and built.
Yeah, if I could just add, Sandy, our transportation priorities plan has a number of bicycle and pedestrian projects funded. The board recognized the need to fund additional projects, and that is why the 100 million for active transportation initiative was developed and created, which has fed into this prioritization process. And so we hope that as time moves forward and we reach that 100 million of dedicated allocation, that the program will be continue to be supported, but that is a conversation still to be had. Okay, next question is from MD, and they ask, what can be done about a sidewalk that the community is opposing at Justice Park? There is a new sidewalk on the high school side of the street, and the new sidewalk, which will cost roughly $1 million, seems unnecessary now. So MD, that is outside of the scope of this prioritization process. And the way to have continued conversations about whether to implement them is with either the project manager for Fairfax County DOT or the board supervisor for that district.
All right. I did ask Adam to call in once again to see if we can unmute him and answer his question. There he is.
Can you hear us, Adam? Could you please talk?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say I strongly support the crosswalk that's proposed for Wheelie Avenue and Reston Station Boulevard. Is that something that is my feedback now something you guys take into consideration, or I need to actually do the survey, or can you consider the feedback I just gave now?
We would appreciate if you could do the survey.
Okay. I don't have it in front of me, but how did that project score?
I do not recall off the top of my head, unfortunately.
We
I
can
don't
follow
know.
up with you, Adam,
Yeah,
with
we
how it
can
scored.
follow up on that.
Okay.
This,
All right.
this
Thank
is
you.
To
Wheelie Avenue
reiterate,
on what?
the scores for all of these projects are all in the interactive map, and they are all available there.
Is there, rather than a map, is there an easier way to see them?
We can take that question into consideration and work to maybe get a spreadsheet up linked to the, or it's probably going to be a PDF table linked to the website as well.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Diana Berlin asks, is there no updated website for the scores and notes regarding the need demand analysis? Right. So, Diana, we haven't published the needs and demand analysis for all of the projects that were evaluated in step one. Step one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have those scores on the website. If you would like the scores for a particular project, please reach out and we can provide you with those.
She also asked, she asked that she typed in Birch Road. It doesn't come up on the map. It comes back as no result.
I think we can have our technical team look into that.
Yes.
I'm sorry that you're having an issue with our map.
If you can type in like a landmark closer to that street, by landmark, I mean, for example, Government Center. I know that's not close to Birch Road, but like I'm just providing an example. You might be able to find the approximate location of the project you're interested in on the map. And we'll let the technical team know to take a look at the search box for the map as well. Thank you, Diana. Okay, I do not see any other questions, although there you go. Thank you. We're gonna be here for a few more minutes to give everyone a chance to type in the question, if there are any.
Looks like there's another question.
Okay, it looks like yeah, everyone's having difficulty with the map, so we will take a look at it as soon as tomorrow morning. Go ahead, Laura.
Hi, it looks like Adam might have another question.
Yeah. Adam, could you please start speaking? I think could you please speak? I think.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This isn't a question, it's a comment. I've never been to a county meeting where you can't just raise your hand and talk on Microsoft Teams. This is a very difficult setup and really not conducive to hearing from the residents. So I don't know who came up with this idea of how to run this meeting, but this is not a good way to get feedback from residents.
Adam, thank you for your comment. We'll definitely take it back to our team and talk about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I just checked the interactive map on Birch Road. It seems if you add the street address at the beginning of your search, it shows up. It goes to that specific location. I mean, if you happen to know the exact address or an address around the project location, if you type that address, I think the map automatically show you that area.
Great, thanks, Amir. And yeah, Diana said she was finally able to access the project by zooming into the area when I saw an orange line. So thanks for letting us know. All right.
Okay, we have some more questions. So Avril Garland asks, what are you doing to avoid building paved trails in stream valleys? An example is a Cinderbad Road bikeway, which a number of citizens groups have been trying to stop.
We certainly, as I mentioned, we do look at environmental considerations as part of step 4, and we do work with the Fairfax County Park Authority to make sure that we are that we're operating in an environmentally sensitive way and mitigating any issues that do arise. I know that there has been a lot of concern about that particular project, and I would recommend, if you have questions about that particular project, since that's not part of this process, to reach out to the project manager for that project.
And Cindy, just to clarify, do you know how many of the projects that we're asking the surveys for are part of Stream Valley, like are in Stream Valleys?
Very few.
Yeah, I can't think of any, and maybe there are some, but they're not coming to mind right now. I think most are crosswalks or trails along roadways. But we do welcome you, Avril, to go in and take the surveys. And if you have any environmental concerns for those specific projects, please let us know so that we can make sure we take that into consideration when selecting projects. Thank you. Okay, Diana Berlin asks, how is it possible that pedestrian destinations is low when connectivity is high and there are so many schools and children present, school children and pedestrians?
We can look into that and get back to you about that.
Okay, and Vanessa Lipomsky says that on behalf of McLean Station ACC, we would like the study of number 709 to include underpass and adventure bike trail between Georgetown Pike and Live Oak Drive. And Vanessa, please, I invite you to take the survey and note that in your survey comments for that project. Diana Berlin asks, how is the demand score 18 when we are a young community where many children are forced to walk on the road, walk back and forth to school? And again, Diana, we'll have to follow up with you on those questions specific to that project. Teams says the link to Big Table is microscopic and they're unable to read it, that link. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. If you could clarify your question, we might be able to address it. Okay.
Yes, the QR codes are working today. Thank you.
Vanessa Liponsky asks, could Bierman's office meet with us? And we can pass your request on to Supervisor Bierman's office for a meeting regarding Live Oak Drive. And are the QR codes working today?
They're working, yes. Looks like Adam has a question. Amir, can you unmute Adam, please?
Yes, Adam is unmuted. Adam, could you please speak?
Okay.
I think he left.
Okay. Yes, it might be from the previous round of question that he had. So we can go to the next question.
So Teams provided a link to a list with projects that show the need and demand scores. And he says, or they say that the link to Big Table is microscopic, unable to read. And when I go to that, it's looking okay to me. So I'm not sure, maybe it's the browser that you're using that's interpreting a certain way. Yeah, I'm not experiencing the same issues that you have.
Yeah, I just clicked on the link and it works for me. I see the document.
Mm-hmm.
So If you ask a question here and then we said that we're going to follow up with you, we do need to have your email addresses in order for us to be able to follow up, because team doesn't provide your email addresses to us. You can email the DOT. Okay, thank you, Diana. Or you can also email the DOT info email address, which my colleague Amir or somebody else will put it in the chat, so you can follow the DOT info inbox, and then we'll be following up with you as well. Okay. I do not see any other questions in the chat. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you. Your feedback is vital to this process, and we work to improve active transportation safety and access. Again, a recording of the previous session, yesterday's session, was posted to the webpage, and then a document of the Q&A session of this meeting also will be posted. As a reminder, feedback can be submitted through our survey by email, by phone, or by physical mail until 4:30 p.m. on March 31st.
Diana Berlin has a follow-up question. How quickly will the scores be updated with info sent to you based on the fact that money is to be allocated in the coming months?
We will take a look in the very near future. I assure you that if there are any issues with the score, they will be fixed before any lists are published or anything, before this process moves forward any further.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Oh, we have okay, Diana Berlin asks, my concern is that I have emailed and done due diligence with FCDOT previously and nothing was done. We will follow up with you, Diana, about what it is you're looking for, but over the next week, okay? To make sure that what you're telling us is accurately reflected in how we are scoring that project location. And then Steve Lee asks, I'm late joining you, but are you aware that a pedestrian was killed on John Moore between Ravensworth and Becklick 2 weeks ago?
Yes, we are certainly very saddened by this loss of life. We are it just it really puts into perspective how important this work is, and how we need to continue to prioritize and improve safety for active transportation throughout the county.
Yes, and Steve, for your awareness, we do have a standing meeting with the Fairfax County Police Department to discuss pedestrian fatalities that occur in Fairfax County. And what we try to do in those meetings is discuss potential engineering solutions for those locations, And then also talk about any other kinds of solutions, such as enforcement activities that could happen as well. And in preparation for those meetings, we will often go and visit the site as well to understand what the issues are that led to that pedestrian fatality. Okay. And then we did receive a couple of thank yous from some of the people online, and we appreciate that. Thank you. Steve Lee has a follow-up. He says, perhaps you should consider noting that any residential area at or under 35 miles per hour should have signs saying pedestrian safety. Thank you for that comment, Steve. I'll take that suggestion to our quarterly meeting, and we'll look into that possibility. Okay. All right, I think that's all of the questions that we have. Thank you everyone for participating in today's meeting. I hope that you all have a lovely evening and walk, bike, roll safely.
Thank you everyone for attending. Have a great night.